West Tigers have somehow plummeted to even greater depths. Tigers are in chaos and it doesn't seem like there's light at the end of the tunnel. That was nasty what we saw on Saturday night.
Well, look, what happened on the weekend was that the last of the excuses has basically just been flown out the window. You know, last week, Tim Sheens told us, look, while it's disappointing they lost the first 4 games, they've been competitive in each of those losses. They lost a couple of games by 12 points, the other 2 by 6 and less. But then that's now gone. So, and I tell you what, the Tigers this week, we're going to find a bit out about them. They've got Parramatta next Monday. Last year they ambushed, well, I was going to say they ambushed the Eels, but it was the Easter Miracle last year when they beat Parramatta. They need to do something similar again because for all the pre-season hype about the revamped Tigers, it's all but gone now. And
long gone.
Well, look, if they can show something on Monday like they did last year, then you can say, OK, there's a bit of hope there. But if they don't get through Monday, Buzz, I don't know where they go.
Who are you blaming, Kenty? How do they fix it?
I think it's D, Buzz, all of the above. I don't think there's any one person there. It starts at the top. I've said for a long time it starts at the top, and they just keep blaming agenda-driven media.
Well, it seems as though it was Luke Brooks under the gun the first couple of weeks. Tim Sheens copped it. Now it's Justin Pascoe, Buzz. That photo, that's another photo of him on his phone while Tim Sheens is speaking. It was the one before the game in his jogger pants and polo shirt, talking about putting out the cones.
I want to start off by saying this. Who let Jackson Hastings go? Was it Pascoe or Sheens?
It's the club, Buzz. It doesn't matter.
No, the coach hires and fires.
Yeah, they did that to accommodate Bateman, though.
Who kept Luke Brooks?
Yeah,
Who is responsible for the team's attack the worst in the league? Is it the CEOs, really? Now, I'm not here to protect Justin.
You are at the moment.
No, what I want to say, I think that photo that he allowed to be taken of him on the football field in a tight muscle polo shirt and joggers was ridiculous. It was. He shouldn't have been out in the football field. But what I'm saying is it his fault that Ivan Cleary left the club because he wanted to coach his son. Is it his fault that Appy Coruscant was appointed captain this year and he's not doing a very good job of it? Do you blame the CEO? Do you blame the board?
Maybe we should blame you for putting Sheens in.
No, I'm not. Look, what I blame the board and Justin Pascoe is lack of due diligence in hiring Tim Sheens to do this job and not looking closer at his record.
You were at the lunch where...
No, but
well, seriously,
but I will correct you. I asked Tim Sheens at that lunch, would you be interested?
Yeah.
3 weeks before the lunch, I rang Lee Hadjipentalis and I said there's only one guy who should coach the West Tigers, it's Shane Flanagan. I rang Simon Cook, a director, and told him the same. They ignored me.
Yeah.
So at lunch, I said to... just ask the question. It was not my idea.
Righto.
Buzz, I'll say this, Buzz. There are 2 problems in my eyes at the Tigers. I know there's multifaceted issues, but the two-pronged ones for me, one's Justin Pascoe, the other one's the Luke Brooks deal, which I'll get to in a second. But Pascoe should be sacked by the board, and I'll tell you why. In 2019, they were guilty of a cap breach. He was stood down for 6 months by the NRL. They were fined $750,000 on Justin Pascoe's watch. As a result of that, the next year they had $639,000 taken out of their salary cap. Now, that's a big chunk out of your salary cap when you're trying to rebuild a club that's in the mess that they're in at the moment. At the same time, they extended Luke Brooks to a $1 million contract. Now, to me, it's one of the worst deals we've seen. He hasn't delivered.
But again, Peter, you can't blame the CEO for a $1 million contract.
He presided.
He's in there. Don't look.
I'm not saying he should.
They're the club that when Tedesco was at the club and he was about to leave, they were saying, "Don't worry about it. We were a chance of signing Michael Gordon."
You know who pulled the offers, don't you? But you know who pulled the offers to Tedesco, to Moses. Who else? Aaron Woods.
Aaron Woods.
It was Ivan Cleary pulled them. He pulled the offers.
100% agree.
And it
he gave him a 5 pound deadline.
I don't think there is a CEO in this comp who does recruitment.
But doesn't the CEO, tell me if I'm wrong, doesn't he sign off on who is the recruitment manager?
He has taken ownership of it today and he says, look,
but what does that mean? You said that. It was a great interview you did with him and he says, I take ownership. But what does that... they're nice words, but what does that actually mean?
I don't know what it means. I know they're a club that's an absolute mess at the moment, and if you're expecting an Easter miracle, Kenty, I don't think you're going to get one on Monday.
The problem is we heard all summer about how they've revamped their attack. After 2 weeks, the chairman comes on and says, if we'd attacked better, we would have won both games. Then he comes on a week later and he says, we're a new team, give us time. New team? Well, you're 0-3, the Dolphins, who legitimately are a new team, are 3-0. So that's just all... Like, the problem with the Tigers is people there that just don't know what they don't know. And that sounds cute, right? But they don't know. They don't know what a winning club looks like. They don't know what a... Sheens is the only one that does, right? But...
Long time ago, Kenty.
Yes, a long time ago. And the game has changed so much. And the club infrastructures have changed so much. And since Sheens was last successful, which was 2010, I think he got him to the... Was it 10 he got him to the top 8, I think it was?
10 and 11 were the last times they got there.
Anyway, they are so far removed from where they need to go, and the disappointing thing is they're not going in the direction they need to go. And the club has not figured out yet. As I've said before, there's a difference between direction and motion. They're moving, they're just not going in the right way.
Yeah, I know, but it comes back to the football operations. I tried to explain this morning. They've made profits for the last 5 years. Their sponsorships are at an all-time high. Their major funder...
But that might be just a repercussion of the way the game's going. Yeah. Most clubs
I know they're getting big grants, that they are. But West Ashfield made a $10 million profit last year, have no debt and assets worth $100 million.
But that's irrelevant. That's completely removed
It's not going to win them football
club.
games. It's not. The problem is the football operation.
Look, Buzz, get into the football component, which is all that matters, right? Winning games. The Luke Brooks deal is crippling that club. Now, I can show you an example. The Broncos...
But who signed him, mate?
But Pasco's the CEO. He presided over all of it. What I'm saying is, though, someone has to have the gumption at that club to say this Luke Brooks deal is killing us and we need a revitalisation of the club, and that involves removing Luke Brooks.
Well,
now,
it's not fair on him. Pete, they had an opportunity when Newcastle showed interest and they didn't want to subsidise the amount of the salary that Newcastle wanted them to subsidise.
Correct.
And again, look, let's talk about bad deals. Respectfully to Luke Brooks, but for 13 years now, he's been paid on potential. 13 years.
Yeah, but Kenty,
this is the thing. Sorry, Buzz. I was going to say, the Broncos 2 years ago identified Matt Lodge and Tavita Pangai Jr., two of their highest earners, as players they need to remove to take the club forward. The Broncos are now top of the comp.
Yeah.
If the Tigers had the gumption to get rid of Brooks and say, look, we're going to cop a massive hit on our cap, as the Broncos did, we can move forward. They will not move forward with Luke Brooks, who I believe has talent, but they need a break from each other. They're like the husband and wife that have been for 10 years and you go, why don't they get a divorce? They need a divorce.
When Woods, Tedesco and Moses left, they needed a trophy signing. And they panicked and put Brooks at that time on $1 million a year. And it was probably Ivan Cleary who did that before he went off to coach his son.
Their signings, we're talking about the players they've lost, right? And every year there's the team that they could have had they kept them. Their signings have been horrific. You go all the way back. I went back and looked today, right, from 2015, and not blaming Justin Pascoe, but I thought let's use that as the line. They signed Matt Ballin at the end of his career, who played 5 games. Jamal Idris, who everyone knew was gone. He played 5 games. Chris McQueen was gone. He played 10 games in 3 years. Ben Madalino, Russell Packer, Josh Reynolds, I could go on. Ryan Madison was a good one. They got him for a year. He left. Joey Leilua, 21 games in 2 years. It keeps going on. James Tarmo, after 12 years in the front row. James Roberts, a problem child. Kenny Mamalo, he cried when he had to go to the Tigers. He left at the start of this year. Tyrone Peachey, 13 games. Jackson Hastings, a player who is an oddball who seems to annoy people, yet clearly had struck something there, but they couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, mate, you're right. And what needs to happen at the Tigers is somebody needs to come out and actually just say, listen, explain why they're doing a good job. Besides saying we're making record sponsorships and record profits and all the rest of it, because the fans have had a gutful, and the fans sit there. And to be fair, there was so much hope in the fans this year. And I live in the West Tigers catchment area, so there was so much hope in the club, and so many people say, "Mate, you're going to eat your words this year." Well, yeah.
But guys,
not yet.
You've reeled off that list there. They signed better than anyone this year with Coruscant, Papali'i and Bateman. Now, they're 3 match-winning, experienced players who, you know, they had to pay good money to get. So the recruitment, to me, doesn't appear to be a current problem.
That's fair.
I'll tell you what their problem is. I opened this show with the Knights and spoke about how they, on paper, get outclassed each week. But you know what? They're playing with heart, and that's what I said. And these West Tigers players, in my view, lack heart the way they're playing football at the moment. Right. And they're not having a dig for their logo.
Maguire. They couldn't handle how tough it was under Michael Maguire, who was one guy who actually did know what it takes to win premierships and get a team in the premiership window. And when they all sat back and said, well, this is a bit tough, the club badly took the players' side. They should have just backed Maguire the whole way through.